Hello everyone and welcome to the biology lecture series, and today we'll be discussing the NCERT exemplar questions for the topic reproduction. I would like to mention that all the questions in this lecture are completely NCERT based, means this lecture is completely NCERT based. So the questions in this lecture has been divided into three categories. First is the multiple choice questions, second is the very short type answer question, and third is the short answer type question. So let's start with the MCQs first, multiple choice questions. Okay, so here is the question number 1. The first question is, a few statements describing certain features of reproductions have been given below. So let's see the options. First one is, gametic fusion takes place, okay, in reproduction or not. First option is this one. Regarding reproduction, second option is that transfer of genetic material takes place. So this is true. During reproduction, transfer of genetic materials takes place. Option number 3, which is reduction division takes place. So reduction division means meiosis. So during meiosis, reduction division takes place, and because of that, the chromosome number is reduced to half. So if the organism is diploid, means if the organism has 2n number of chromosome, okay, so then after meiosis, it will be n, means it will be in haploid stage. So this is the haploid stage. All right, let's look at the fourth option. Fourth option is, progeny have some resemblance with the parent. So after the reproduction, we get the progeny, or we can say progeny as offspring also. So here it is saying that the progeny or the offsprings have some resemblance with the parent. Okay. Now here you have to select the options that are true for both asexual and sexual reproduction. So they have already given you what are the features of reproduction. Okay. But now they are asking that what options are true for. Okay. True for both asexual and sexual reproduction. All right. So here are the options, 1 and the second one. Option B is second option and the third option. Option C is second and the fourth option. And option D is first and the third one. Okay. So from these options, you have to select that options that are true for both asexual and sexual reproduction. Okay. Now you have to think about the answer. Okay. So I given you a thinking process, which means this is a concept on which this question is based. Okay. So first you have to know what is reproduction. Reproduction is a biological process in which an organism gives rise to young ones, which are known as the offsprings, or you can also say progeny. Okay. Or you can say progeny. Having some resemblance. Okay. Having some resemblance with itself, means with the parent. If it enables the continuity, means reproduction enables the continuity of the species generation after generation. So this is how you define reproduction. So you can say what are the features of reproduction? First, it is a biological process, okay, in which an organism gives rise to young ones, which are known as offsprings, and those offsprings have some resemblance with the parent. And reproduction, what is the role of reproduction? It helps in the continuity of the species generation after generation. So this is how we define reproduction. Now you know the concept now. Now you can answer. Okay. So correct answer is option number C. Okay. Now, I've given you a brief explanation of why option C is correct. Okay. So, in both type of reproduction, asexual as well as sexual reproduction, there is transfer of genetic material. Alright, in both asexual and sexual reproduction, genetic material is transferred from parent to the offerings, or you can say young ones. So, because of this transfer of the genetic material, okay, the young ones have some resemblance with the parents. Okay. Now, reduction division, which is also known as the meiosis. All right. What is the result of meiosis? Meiosis. After meiosis, we can say the diploid condition or the diploid body changes into haploid. Okay. Or you can say reduction division has to occur if a diploid body has to produce haploid gametes. So gametes are always haploids, means they have n number of chromosome. Whereas if you talk about diploid organism, which are 2n, okay, means they contain two set of chromosomes. Okay, so diploid body is changed into a haploid body. All right, and usually reduction division or meiosis takes place during gamete formation. So here you can see haploid gametes are forming. Okay, so one example where meiosis takes place is during the formation of gametes, which is known as gametogenesis. Okay, so in that condition, reduction division takes place and gametes are formed where? During the sexual reproduction. Okay, so so we can say that during sexual reproduction, reduction division takes place. Now, during sexual reproduction, what happens? During sexual reproduction, gametic fusion takes place. Okay, so this is a feature of sexual reproduction. One is that meiosis takes place during formation of gametes, which is known as gametogenesis. And second, fusion of gametes, yani ki male and the female gametes, which are both haploid. Okay, male and the female gametes, which are haploid, they fuse with each other. So we can write here, if this is a male gamete, it fuses with the female gamete. Both have n number of chromosomes, means both are haploid, and they fuse together, okay, to form a diploid condition, which is 2n. All right. So these are male and female gametes, and they are fusing to form a diploid state, which is known as zygote, which is diploid, means 2n. All right. So this is also a feature of sexual reproduction. So now you know the concept now, and you know the background of this question. So what should be the answer? Answer should be option C. Now let's move on to the next question. The next question is the term clone. Okay, the term clone cannot be applied to offerings formed by sexual reproduction because, okay, let's have a look at the options. First is offerings do not possess exact copies of the parental DNA. Okay, so what happens, during the asexual reproduction, only one parent is involved. And what happens after asexual reproduction? The progenies are found which are exact copies of the parent. Okay, so this happens during asexual reproduction, where the offering forms are exact copy of the parent. All right. Now, second option is DNA of only one parent is copied and passed on to the offerings. Okay. The next option is offerings are formed at different times. All right. And fourth option is DNA of parent and offerings are completely different. All right. DNA of the parent and offspring are completely different. So this is not true. Okay, because the offerings have, you already know, the offerings have some resemblance with the parent. Means they have some common characteristic, they have some common genetic material. Okay. So because of that, there is resemblance in the offerings with the parent. Okay. So let's have a look at the answer. The answer is option A. Okay. Now let's see why option A is correct. So the offerings that are produced as a result of asexual reproduction are not only identical to one another. Okay. So the offerings that are produced by asexual reproduction are identical to one another. Okay. And also they are exact copies of their parent. Alright. So suppose this was an organism in which asexual reproduction is happening. This will give rise to the offerings. Okay. Now these offerings are similar to each other. Okay. This will be similar to each other. And also they will be exact copy of this parent. Okay. So you can take example of fission in bacteria. Okay. So if this is a cell, it divides to form two cells. Okay. So these two cells will be similar to each other and they will be exact copy of their parent. So you can write this happens during binary fission, which is an example of what? Asexual reproduction. Okay, if we talk about sexual reproduction, what happens in sexual reproduction? DNA of both parents, that is male and the female, are copied and passed on to the offerings after the fusion of what? After the fusion of gametes. Alright. The offering thus formed do not possess exact copy of the parental DNA. Means they are not clone. Okay. Clone is an organism which have exact or which is exactly similar to the parent, which has the same genetic makeup as the parent. Okay. So what is a clone? Clone have the same genetic material, or you can say similar genetic material as the parent. Alright. But during sexual reproduction, DNA of both parents are involved. Okay. So the offering forms are not the exact copies of the parent, but they are the recombinants. Okay. Recombinations happens during sexual reproduction, during meiosis. And because of that, recombination variation exists. And the offerings are different from the parent. They are the combination of both the parents. Now, let's look at the question number 3. So, amoeba and yeast reproduce asexually. This you already know, by fission and budding. So, amoeba reproduces by fission and yeast, okay, by budding it is saying. Now, they're asking why. Okay, so let's look at the options. Because they are microscopic organisms, means they cannot be seen by the naked eyes. Second option is they are heterotrophic organism. Now, what are heterotrophic organism? That attain nutrition from the other organism. Okay. So, what are heterotrophic organism? That obtain the nutrition. From where? They obtain nutrition from other organism, means they are dependent for the nutrition of on other organisms. Okay. Now let's have a look at the option number C. Unicellular organisms. Amoeba and yeast are unicellular organisms, means they are single-celled. Uni means one cell. They are single cell. All right. And let's have a look at the option number D, which is uninucleate organisms. Okay, means they have one nucleus. Now let's have a look at the answer. So option number C is the correct answer here. They are unicellular organisms. Okay, and what are unicellular organisms? Unicellular organisms, all right, they have relatively simple organization. Okay, they are single celled. Okay, and whole cell is doing the function of the entire organisms. Single cell. They are unicellular. Single cell is performing all the functions here. All right. Like in multicellular organism, we have different cells which differentiate to form different structures and they have different functions. In unicellular organism, a single organism is performing all the roles. Okay. So unicellular organisms are very simple. They have very simple organization. So the asexual mode of reproduction is common in them. All right. So it is so because asexual reproduction, the unicellular organism can multiply very fast. All right. So asexual reproduction takes place in unicellular organism because they have first simple organization, and because of the asexual reproduction, they can multiply very fast. You already know that the bacteria and yeast and all the microscopic organisms, they multiply very fast. For example, you can take the example of the bacteria E. coli. So the E. coli bacteria, the replication time is what? Replication time is 20 minutes. Or you can say the doubling time. Alright, in 20 minutes, it's complete its life cycle. Alright, which is, you can say, very short, 20 minutes. If you talk about humans, you can see the life cycle is around 70, 80 years. Okay. So, in amoeba, I've already told you, asexual reproduction takes place by binary fission, and in yeast by budding. Okay, so this is clear. Why option C is the correct answer here. Alright. Now, again, in sexual reproduction, both male and female gametes have to fuse, while in asexual reproduction, cell division takes place. Okay, this we already know that in sexual reproduction, both male and female gametes are formed, okay, which are haploid, all right, and they fuse to form the zygote. While in asexual reproduction, okay, it can take place without gamete formation or with gamete formation. And how sexual reproduction takes place? By cell division. Okay. So in unicellular microscopic organism, asexual reproduction is prominent, is dominant. Okay. Now, heterotrophic organism. There was one option, heterotrophic organism. So heterotrophic organisms which feed on others, all right, or which obtain nutrition from other organisms. Examples are human, animals, and decomposers. All right, they can reproduce either asexually or sexually. Okay, for example, in bacteria, sexual reproduction occurs by conjugation. So conjugation, okay, is a type of sexual reproduction in bacteria. All right, and asexual reproduction occurs via binary fission. This you already know. Okay, if you talk about bacteria, sexual reproduction takes place by conjugation and asexual reproduction takes place by binary fission. Now, fourth option was uninucleate organism. Uninucleate organism means one nucleus. So examples is an algae. Alva is an algae, okay, which reproduce asexually by zoospores and sexually by fusion of the gametes. Okay. Now let's move on to the next question. A few statements with regard to sexual reproductions are given below. Okay. You have to keep in mind sexual reproduction. Okay. So sexual reproduction does not always require two individuals. This is first statement. Okay. Usually what happens in sexual reproduction? two parents are involved. One is male, another is female. Okay, both partners are involved. They both produce gametes. Okay, and then these gametes fuse, okay, to form a zygote. All right, now let's look at the second option. Sexual reproduction generally involves gametic fusion. Okay, so this is true. Sexual reproduction, gametes are formed and gametic fusion takes place, leading to the formation of zygote and then embryo and then entire organism. Now, third option, meiosis never occurs during sexual reproduction. So you know that during the sexual reproduction, meiosis takes place. And with the help of meiosis, what are formed? Gametes are formed. Okay, which are haploid. So during sexual reproduction, meiosis takes place. So this is not a correct answer, option. Option number 4, external fertilization is a rule during sexual reproduction. Okay, what is external fertilization? When the eggs and the sperms are released in the surrounding. And mostly the surrounding consists of water. Okay, this is known as external fertilization, where fertilization takes place outside the body of the organism. This is known as external fertilization. So here it is saying external fertilization is a rule during sexual reproduction. All right, but internal fertilization also takes place, like in humans. All right, so you have to select a statement here which is true for sexual reproduction. Okay, now choose the correct statement from the options below. First is 1 and 4th, second is 1 and 2, option C is 2nd and 3rd, and option D is 1 and 4th. All right, now let's have a look at the answer. So option C is the correct answer here. Why option C is correct answer? Because sexual reproduction involves formation of the male and female gamete, and this process is known as gametogenesis. Okay, means gamete formation either by the same individual, for example tinea, or different individuals of the opposite sex. This you have to keep in mind, of the opposite sex means male and female. Example is rabbit. Now these gametes fuse to form the zygote. This I have already told you, which develops to form the new organism. Alright, so zygote will form the new organism. Meiosis, also known as the reductional division, occur only during the asexual reproduction. This you already know, to produce haploid gametes. Alright, now internal fertilization, okay, which occurs during the sexual reproduction. Okay, but the option was external reproduction is a rule, so that is not correct. In sexual reproduction, internal fertilization takes place. Alright, usually, generally internal fertilization takes place. And in this type, egg is formed inside the female body. Alright, so what happens during internal fertilization? The egg is formed inside the female body where they fuse with the male gamete. Okay, example, humans. The eggs are formed inside the female body, which is fertilized by the sperm, which is motile. So this is an example of internal fertilization. Now let's move on to the 5th question. A multicellular filamentous algae. So they are talking about algae which is multicellular and filamentous, exhibit a type of sexual life cycle, okay, in which the meiotic division occurs after the formation of zygote. All right, so what they are saying, that algae is multicellular and filamentous and it is undergoing a sexual life cycle. Okay, and it is saying that after the formation of zygote. Okay, so we can write here zygote, which is diploid. Okay, and then meiosis is taking place, they are saying. Okay, meiosis is taking place and then something should form. What should form? Gametes should form. Or you can say spores. Spores are formed. All right. Instead of gametes, you can write spores. All right. So now the question is the adult filament of this algae has. Okay. So option number A, haploid vegetative cells and diploid gametangia. Okay. So they are saying that the body of the algae should be haploid. Okay. And the gametangia should be diploid. Okay. Haploid is N, diploid is 2N. Second option is diploid vegetative cell and diploid gametangia. Third option is diploid vegetative cells and haploid gametangia. And fourth option is haploid vegetative cells and haploid gametangia. Okay. Now let's have a look at the concept here. So this question is based on the concept of alteration of generation. Okay. Now what is alteration of generation? Now, a life cycle of an organism, if you talk about the life cycle of the organism, it is divided into two phases. Okay. If we talk about the life cycle of the organism, it has two phases. First is, you can write gametophyte or gametophytic phase. And second is sporophytic. Okay. Gametophytic phase and sporophytic phase. So gametophytic phase, as the name suggests, it should be N. And sporophytic stage is diploid, 2N. Okay. Now, the meaning of alteration of generation is one in which one generation follows the other in alternating and repeating manner. Means gametophytic phase will be followed by the sporophytic phase. Then again you will have the gametophytic phase. Then again you will have the sporophytic phase. So they are alternating with each other and they are repeating also. They are alternating and repeating itself. Okay. First you will have gametophytic phase, then you have sporophytic phase, or you can have sporophytic phase and then you will have gametophytic phase. And one stage can be dominant. Suppose in some organism, sporophytic phase is dominant. In some organism, gametophytic phase is dominant. Okay. So this is known as alteration of generation. So let's have a look at the answer. So option D is the correct answer here. So now let's see why option D is correct. Now, the multicellular gametophyte. Okay. So the body of the organism, okay, is known as the gametophyte here, which is multicellular, they are saying. Okay. The body of the algae, they were saying it was multicellular and filamentous. Okay. So the gametophyte bears the gametangia. All right. Which is haploid, it is saying. So in the question, they were saying that zygote was formed. Okay. Zygote will divide and it will form the sporophyte. Okay. By mitosis. Okay. And then sporophyte will form the spores, which are haploid. And here, meiosis will take place. So in the question, it was saying that meiosis takes place after the zygote formation. So after zygote, by mitosis, sporophyte is obtained and meiosis takes place in the sporophyte and spores are formed. All right. So, and spore, which are haploid, will give rise to the body of the organism. So the multicellular gametophyte, which bears the gametangia, is haploid, alternates with the multicellular sporophyte, which is diploid. Okay. A mature sporophyte produces spores, which will be obviously haploid. So it will produce spores by meiosis. So this is sporophyte, which is diploid. Okay. This by meiosis will produce the haploid spores. Okay. And this sporophyte is multicellular. All right. A process which is, okay, a mature sporophyte produces spores by meiosis, a process which is reduces number of chromosome to half from 2n to n. Okay, so by this diagram, let's see what is alternation of generation in algae. So initially they are saying gametes fuse with each other. So here they were gametes which are haploid. They fuse with each other. There is the fusion going on. All right, this is one gamete. This is another gamete. One gamete, second gamete. They are fusing to form the zygote, which is diploid. Okay, zygote by mitosis forms a sporophyte, which will be obviously diploid. Now, sporophyte, meiosis takes place here. So, in the question, they were saying meiosis takes place after the zygote formation. So, here meiosis is taking place. Meiosis will reduce the number of chromosome to half. After meiosis, spores are formed, which are haploid. And these spores by mitosis will form the gametophyte. All right. So if you understand this alternation of generation in algae, you can easily answer the question. Now let's talk about the next question. The male gametes of rice plant have 12 chromosomes. Okay, underline this 12 chromosome in their nucleus. The chromosome number in the, now we have to tell the chromosome number in the female gamete, zygote and the cells of the seedling. Okay, this you have to tell. All right, now you already know. First, how zygote is formed. Okay, by the fusion of the gametes, which are haploid. So here they are saying the male gametes in the rice have 12. So suppose this is a male gamete which has 12 chromosome. This is the female gamete. So female gamete will also have 12 chromosome. Okay. Now these two will fuse with each other. Okay. And then what it will form? It will form a diploid zygote. It will form a zygote which will be diploid. Okay. So here what will be the chromosome number? It should be 24. Because 12 plus 12. Okay, here diploid condition. So here the chromosome number will be 24. And last, they are asking cells of the seedling. So this zygote will then multiply by mitosis and then it will form the seedling in the end. Okay, so here mitosis is taking place. So what should be the chromosome number here? Here 2n condition is maintained. Chromosome number should be 24. Now, these are the options 12, 24 and 12, 24, 12 and 12, 12, 24 and 24 and 24, 12 and 24. Okay, so what should be the correct answer here? Alright, so before going to the answer directly, so here is a concept on which this question is based. So gametes are formed from the meiotic division, means reductional division of the meiocytes. Okay, the meiocytes are obviously they should be diploid and meiotic division takes place in meiocytes leading to the formation of haploids, gametes. Alright, now in each gamete only one set of chromosomes get incorporated. Alright, means they are haploid. Okay, they contain one set of chromosome only. Now, so what should be the answer to this question? Option number C is the correct answer. Now, the female gamete, the chromosome number will be same as that of the male gamete, which is 12. Now, a zygote is a fertilized egg, okay, or a seed, which means gamete from the parents have been combined. So, in zygote, a diploid condition is maintained. And thus, the chromosome number will be 24. means 2n condition is maintained in the zygote. So here the chromosome number should be 24 in the zygote. Now, a seedling is a young plant. So they were asking about this number of chromosomes in the seedling. So seedling is a young plant sporophyte developing out of a plant embryo. Okay. So first there were gametes which fuse to form the zygote, which is 2n. Now zygote will form the embryo, which is again 2n. Then embryo will form the seedlings, which is again 2n. Alright. So the chromosome number in the cells of the seedling will be 24. Alright, which will further give rise to the new diploid individual. Now let's move on to the next question. So given below are a few statements related to external fertilization. So this I have already explained you what is external fertilization. Now let's have a look at the options here. The male and the female gametes are formed and released simultaneously. Okay, so they are saying during external fertilization, male and female gametes are formed and released simultaneously. Second option is only a few gametes are released into the medium. Okay. Medium means the surroundings. Third option is water is the medium in a majority of organisms exhibiting external fertilization. Okay. This I've already told you. Water. Okay. If you see external fertilization is frog. So it releases all the eggs in the surrounding water. Okay. So the medium is water in majority of the organism during external fertilization. This is they are saying. Now, fourth option is offspring formed as a result of external fertilization have better chances of survival than those formed inside an organism, as in humans. So this is the last statement. Now, what they are asking what is the correct statement from all these four. Okay, third and fourth. Second option is 1 and 3rd. C option is 2nd and 4th. And D option is 1 and 4th. So now let's have a look at the answer. So option number B is correct. So external fertilization, you already know, occurs outside the body of the organism. Means male and the female gamete, they fuse with each other outside the body of the organism. Alright. Now external fertilization takes place in most of the aquatic organisms. So the medium should be water here. Okay. So external fertilization is seen in organisms that are mostly aquatic. So they release the eggs and the sperm in the water, such as majority of algae and fishes as well as some of amphibians. Now organism exhibiting external fertilization release large number of gametes in the surrounding media. Okay, so this is also a feature of external fertilization. During external fertilization, large number of gametes are formed and they are released in the surrounding medium, which is water. And why large number of gametes are formed? To enhance the chances of syngamy. Syn means fusion. So here it means fusion of the gametes, which takes place outside the body of the organism in a media which is mostly water. Okay. So this is clear. Now let's talk about next question, which is the statements given below describe certain features that are observed in the pistil of the flower. Okay, so they are talking about the pistil of the flower. Now what is pistil? First, it is the combination of the carpels. Okay, usually pistil and another word known as the carpel. Okay, so they are used synonymously. Okay, but what is pistil? It is the combination of the carpels. And what is the structure of a pistil or a carpel? It consists of an base, which is known as the ovary. Then there is a tube-like structure known as style, and the upper part, which receives the pollen, which is the receptive part, is known as the stigma. Okay, So pistil consists of three parts: stigma, style, and ovary. Ovary is the swollen part. Okay, it is the swollen part, or you can say it is the swollen base. It forms the base. Style is a tube-like structure through which the pollen tubes enter. They enter through the stigma and they travel through the style. Stigma is the receptive part. It receives the pollen grains. Okay, it is the receptive part. All right. Now, first option is, or the first statement is, pistil have many carpels. Okay. Second is, each carpel may have more than one ovule. Okay. Ovule develop into seeds. You already know. Third option is, each carpel has only one ovule. All right. Now, fourth is, pistil have only one carpel. Okay, so you can see first option they are saying pistil may have many carpels. So this is completely opposite. Pistil have only one carpel they are saying. Then they are saying each carpel may have more than one ovule, or they are saying each carpel has only one ovule. Now you have to select the correct statement, what is true. Okay, which is the correct statement, or which statement is true for the pistil. So the options are 1 and 2nd, 1 and 3rd, 2nd and 4th, or 3rd and 4th. All right. Now, let's see the concept on which this question is based. This will help you in answering the question. Now, let's talk about the gynoecium. Now, what is gynoecium? Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower. Okay. And female reproductive part, which is known as the gynoecium, is represented by pistil. So you can say pistil is the female reproductive part, also known as the gynoecium. Alright, the pistil is the free unit of gynoecium. Each pistil is consisted of one to many enrolled leaf-like structures or carpels. What does this mean? This means that the pistil is a combination of carpels. It is made up of many carpels. So this is the difference between pistil and a carpel. Usually, these two terms are used synonymously, but there is a slight difference. Pistil is combination of carpels. Okay, so what should be the answer to this question? Option A is the correct answer. So, a pistil, one or many carpels. Okay, one or many carpels has three parts. This I've already explained you. First part is stigma, second part is style, and third part is ovary. Ovary, the swollen part of the pistil. This I've already told you. Ovary is the swollen base or the part of the pistil, contains an angiospermic, ovoid and whitish structure called the ovule. Okay, so this is how the pistil look like. It has a swollen base. Okay, so this is the ovary. Okay, it is swollen and it consists of the ovules. Okay, it consists of the ovules. Alright, then there is a tube-like structure. Okay, this is known as the style. Okay, its length can vary. Okay, it can be long, it can be short, and then we have the receptive part. This upper part, this is known as the stigma. Okay, now it is saying the ovary consists of the ovules, and within the ovary, these ovules are connected to the placenta. Okay, so these ovules are, or with the help of the placenta, are connected to the ovary. So within the ovary, it is connected, means the ovules are connected to a parenchymatous cushion, which is known as the placenta, either individually or in clusters. Okay, so these are ovules. Alright, and these ovules are connected to the ovary through placenta. So this is the female reproductive organ, also known as the gynoecium. Alright, or you can say this is the pistil. This is how pistil look like, or carpel. Alright, So option A is the correct answer here. A pistil can be made of one carpel or many carpels, and you can see the parts of the pistil, and one part is ovary, style, and stigma. Ovary consists of ovules which is connected to the ovary through placenta. Now let's talk about the next question, which is question number 9. Now, which of the following situations correctly describe the similarity between an angiospermic egg and a human egg? Okay, so they are talking about the plant egg here. Okay, and this is the human egg. All right, angiospermic egg means in angiosperms. Now, these are the options. Eggs of both are formed only once in a lifetime, they are saying. Now, second option, both the angiospermic egg and human egg are stationary, means they are non-motile. Okay, both they are saying, angiospermic egg and the human egg. Third option is both the angiospermic egg and human egg are motile and they are transported. Fourth option is syngamy in both results in the formation of zygote. Okay, means they are saying after the fusion of the gamete, zygote is formed. All right, now you have to choose the correct answer from the options given below. First option is second and fourth. B option is only fourth. Third option is third and fourth. And D option is 1 and 4th. Now let's have a look at the answer. So option B is the correct answer here. So what happens in case of the terrestrial organism, including both angiosperm and humans? Okay, angiosperm, these are also terrestrial plants. All right, humans are also terrestrial organism. Now they have internal fertilization. Okay, syngamy occurs inside the body of the organism to form zygote. All right, first is this. Now both the angiosperm and the human remains reproductively active throughout their reproductive phase. Okay, this you know. First is the juvenile phase and then we have the reproductive phase. Okay, in plants also we have the juvenile phase and reproductive. In humans also we have the juvenile phase and the reproductive phase. Okay, so life cycle of the organism is divided into two phases. First is juvenile phase. Second is the reproductive phase. Okay. Now, both angiosperms and human remain reproductively active throughout their reproductive phase. So, what does this mean? This means that the formation of the egg takes place not once but many times in the lifetime of the angiospermic plants and humans. Okay. Apart from this, in humans, once an egg has been released from the ovary, the beating of the cilia in the fallopian tube moves the egg from the ovary to the uterus. Okay, so egg is considered as motile in humans and not stationary. All right, and the fourth option, and the fourth one, this you also have to keep in mind in flowering plants. So angiosperms are known as the flowering plants. The gametes are non-motile cells within the gametophyte. But for the fusion to take place, the non-motile male gametes are carried to the female gamete by pollen tubes. This you already know, that the pollens, okay, they are traveling through the pollen tube and they reach the egg and then fertilization takes place. Okay. Now let's move on to the next question. So next question is appearance of the vegetative propagules. Okay, from the nodes of the plant such as sugarcane and ginger is mainly because, okay, nodes. Okay, so what are nodes and internodes? So suppose this is the stem. Nodes are here. Okay, so these are the nodes here. These are the nodes and this entire is the internode. Okay, so this is the characteristic feature of a stem. It consists of nodes and internodes. And nodes usually consist of what? Meristematic cells. Okay. Now, let's look at the first option. Nodes are shorter than the internodes. Second option is nodes have meristematic cells. This I've already told you, nodes have meristematic cells through which other structures can develop. Option number C, nodes are located near the soil. Option number 4, nodes have non-photosynthetic cells. Okay, non-photosynthetic cells, what are these cells? The cells which are not involved in photosynthesis. They are not green in color because it doesn't consist of chlorophyll. Okay, now let's have a look at the answer. So option B is the correct answer here. Now, here I've given you the explanation of this. Okay, the appearance of the vegetative propagules from the nodes of the plant, such as sugarcane and ginger, is mainly because of the nodes which have the meristematic cells. So what are the property of meristematic cells? They can divide and redivide, and then they differentiate to form a structure. So nodes of the stem, they consist of the meristematic cells. Because of that, they can form the vegetative propagules. Alright. Now, these meristematic cells are responsible to control the growth and the development of tissues and the organs in plants. Now, the nodes in the stem, when come in contact with the damp soil or the water, they produce roots and give rise to new plants. Okay, so that's why option B is the correct answer here. First of all, nodes consist of the meristematic cell, and these meristematic cells help in the growth and development of the tissues and the organs. Now, let's talk about next question. Question number 11. Which of the following statements support the view that elaborate sexual reproductive process appeared much later in the organic evolution? Okay. So here they are saying that the sexual reproductive process means the sexual reproduction. It appeared later. Okay. First, the organism used to multiply by asexual methods. Okay. And then later on, sexual reproductive process appeared. Okay. Now they have given you some statements. Okay. You have to choose the correct answer from the options. First option is lower group of organism. Alright, have simpler body design. Okay. Second is asexual reproduction is common in lower groups. Third option is asexual reproduction is common in higher groups of organism. Okay. And fourth option is the higher incidence of sexual reproduction in angiosperm and vertebrates. So you already know that the lower groups of organism, this we have already discussed, like bacteria and yeast, they reproduce or they multiply by asexual reproduction. Okay. So they multiply by asexual methods or asexual reproduction like fission and budding. Alright. And usually asexual reproduction takes place in lower organisms that have simpler body organization or simpler body design. So this you have to keep in mind. And as evolution took place, more complex organisms developed and the process of sexual reproduction emerged. Okay. So angiosperm and vertebrates are higher organisms. Okay. They are complex and they show sexual reproduction. Now, the options you have to select from these 1 and 3rd, 1 and 4th, 2nd and 4th, and 2nd and 3rd. So, here I've given you a concept on which this question is based. Now, all living things are identified and characterized on the basis of their body design. This you have to remember. Means their structure and the function. When we connect this idea of classification to evolution, we will find some organisms which have ancient body design, means the lower group of organisms, okay, and have not changed much, while there is another group of organisms, okay, that have acquired their particular body design relatively recently, means they are more complex, okay. They are more complex. Those in the first group are referred to as the primitive or the lower organism. such as bacteria. So bacteria are considered as lower organism. They have simple body organization. Alright, while those in the second group, okay, which have evolved later, are known as advanced or the higher organism in which sexual reproduction takes place. So what should be the answer to this question? Option number C is the correct answer. Here, the asexual reproduction example is budding in yeast has been found in most primitive animals like Hydra also. Hydra also multiplies by budding. But over the evolutionary time, as the higher or the advanced organism came into existence, they resorted to the sexual reproduction as it ensures the genetic recombination that results in variation. So one of the reasons why sexual reproduction evolved, first of all, complex organism developed by evolution, and second is that by sexual reproduction, the variation takes place. Okay, variation happens because of the sexual reproduction. You know already in sexual reproduction, through recombination, alright, variation occurs which leads to the development of a new species. Okay, so this is clear. Now let's start with question number 12. So the offspring formed by sexual reproduction exhibit more variation, alright, than those formed by asexual reproduction because, so let us look at the options. The first option is sexual reproduction is a lengthy process. Second option is gametes of the parents have qualitatively different genetic composition. Okay, they are saying qualitatively, not quantitatively. Alright, quantitative means the amount. Alright, but here they are saying qualitative means there is some difference in the genes, in the genetic material, okay, or in the nature of the material. You can say qualitative means difference in the nature of the material. Alright, let's look at the third option. Genetic material come from parent of two different species. Alright, here you have to remember this. They are asking about the different species. Alright, now let's look at the fourth option. Greater amount of DNA is involved in sexual reproduction. Okay, let's have a look at the question again. Offspring formed by sexual reproduction exhibit more variation than those formed by asexual reproduction. This you already know. Here are the options. Okay, you have to select the correct answer from here. Okay, so variation. Why variation occur during sexual reproduction? Main cause is the recombination that takes place during the meiosis. Okay, so you can say there is recombination and crossing over. Due to this recombination and crossing over, alright, variation occurs. Okay, now let's have a look at the answer. So correct answer is option B. Okay, so now here I've given you the explanation of the answer. So now in asexual reproduction, the offerings that are produced are not only identical to each other. This already I have explained you. If this is the bacterial cell, it divides to form two cells by binary fission. So these two cells are identical to each other. Okay, they are identical to each other as well as they are identical to the parent also. Alright, so not only they are identical to each other but are exact copies of their parent. In asexual reproduction, you know only one parent is involved. Alright, in asexual reproduction, one parent is involved and it can happen without formation of gametes or with formation of gametes. Okay, now it is because in asexual reproduction, there is involvement of only single parent. This already I have told you. So in this case, the genetic variation is not created because only single parent is involved. Okay, and there is no meiosis happening. There is no reductional division. The first point is, you can say, in asexual reproduction, there is no variation because single parent is involved. Second, there is no meiosis. No meiosis means no recombination, no crossing over. Alright. Now, while in sexual reproduction, what happens? Genetic variation is created and it is inherited also. Means from one generation to another generation. In sexual reproduction, two parents, and the two parents should be of the opposite sex. Okay? One should be male, another should be female, having different genetic composition. So two parents are involved and two parents have different genetic composition. Alright, so you can write what are the features you can write of sexual reproduction or what happens during sexual reproduction. One, two parents are involved. Okay, and these two parents have different genetic composition. Alright, and here meiosis also takes place. Meiosis takes place during the formation of what? During the formation of gametes. Alright. So, in sexual reproduction, two parents having different genetic composition participate in the reproductive process and also involve fusion of the male and the female gamete, which give rise to the new individual having genetic composition of both. Okay. This I've already told you. There are two gametes, male gamete and the female gamete. These two combine to form the zygote, which is 2N. Okay. And this zygote, okay, they have the genetic composition of both the parent. Alright, there is recombination during meiosis, there is crossing over during meiosis. And after meiosis, gametes are formed. So these are gametes. Alright, and they fuse to form the zygote, which leads to variation. Now let's talk about next question, question number 3. Here you have to choose the correct statement from the following. The first is dioecious, or they are saying hermaphrodite organisms are seen only in animal. So we can see this statement is incorrect. Because what are hermaphrodite? Hermaphrodites are organisms that have reproductive structures. Okay? That have both the reproductive structures. Okay? In the same organism, both reproductive structures are present. Example can be earthworm. Okay? So earthworm is a hermaphrodite, means in a single organism, both male and female reproductive organs are present. Whereas what is dioecious? Dioecious represents the unisexual condition. Okay? Means males and female organs are present on the different organism. Okay? Now, second option, dioecious organisms are seen only in plants. Third option is dioecious organisms seen both in plants and animals. Last option is dioecious organisms are seen only in vertebrates. What are vertebrates? Vertebrates are organisms that have the vertebral column, or you can say that have the backbone. Okay, so vertebrates are organisms that have the backbone, or you can say they have the skeleton. Whereas invertebrates are those organisms that lack the vertebral column. Alright, so humans are example of vertebrates. Okay, now first you have to understand this concept. This will help you answering this question. So hermaphrodite is an organism that has reproductive organs normally associated with both male and female. Okay, it is a bisexual. This you have to remember. Hermaphrodite organisms are bisexual. Okay, and these are found in both plants and animals. So rose is an example of, okay, where bisexual condition exists. Whereas if you talked about animals, snail is an organism which is a hermaphrodite. Or you can write earthworm also. Okay, earthworm also is a hermaphrodite. Now, let's look at the answer. So option C is the answer here. Now let's discuss why option C is the answer. So dioecious, as I've already told you, is the term used to describe the unisexual condition. Dioecious organisms are seen in both plants and animals. Okay, both plants and animals. So in the options, it was written dioecious organisms are seen in plants or it is seen in animals. But the answer is dioecious organisms are seen both in plants and animals. Example of a dioecious plant. So Marchantia. Okay, Marchantia is an example of dioecious plant. Means here unisexual condition is maintained. Means there is male Marchantia and there is female Marchantia. Male Marchantia will consist of male reproductive organ and female Marchantia will have the female reproductive structures. An example of an animal which is dioecious is cockroach, which is an invertebrate. Okay, so last option was that dioecious animals. Okay, dioecious condition is seen in vertebrates. But here I'm showing you an example which is cockroach, which is an invertebrate. So in invertebrates also dioecious condition is seen. So here the answer will be option C. Now let's talk about the question number 14. Now there is no natural death in single-celled organism like amoeba and bacteria. They are asking why. Okay, so let's have a look at the options. Option A is they cannot reproduce sexually. Okay, so amoeba and bacteria, we already know. Here, reproduction is by asexual means. Usually. Okay, but sometimes in bacteria, we have seen sexual reproduction takes place by conjugation. Okay, usually by, or you can write asexual means is by binary fission. Okay, and sexual reproduction, how it takes place here? Sexual reproduction takes place by conjugation. Conjugation in bacteria. Okay, now second option is they reproduce by binary fission. Third option is parental body distributed among the offerings. Okay, fourth option is they are microscopic. They reproduce by binary fission, that we know. Okay, but this is not the reason of there is no natural death. Okay, parental body is distributed among the offerings. This also we have seen during fission what happens. One cell divides into two cells. Okay, so the parental body, this is the parent. The parental body is distributed among the offerings. These are the offerings. Okay, now they are microscopic. This is the last option. Okay, so answer option number C is the correct answer here. So there is no natural death in single cell organisms such as amoeba and bacteria because the parental body is distributed among the offerings. Okay, in such organism, reproduction occurs by cell division. Okay, where a cell, which is a parent here, okay, divides into two halves and each rapidly grows into an adult. Okay, this is same way. One cell here, okay, here cell division occurs. Here what will happen? It will divide. There will be cell division. Okay, and then it will give rise to two cells. So this is binary fission and the parental body is distributed in the offerings. Okay, now let's have a look at the next question. Now there are various types of reproduction. The type of reproduction adopted by organism depends on. Okay, so they are saying there are various types of reproduction. You know, there are asexual reproduction, there is sexual reproduction, but they are asking that the type of reproduction adopted by the organism, whether it will do asexual reproduction or it will do sexual reproduction, it depends on what? So these are the options: the habitat and morphology of the organism. Habitat means the place where the organism lives or survives. And morphology means the external features, the external characteristic. This is known as morphology. Okay. And then option B, morphology of the organism. Option C, morphology and physiology of the organism. Physiology. It is related to all the metabolism and all. Okay. Physiological cycles and all. Option D, the organism's habitat, its physiology and the genetic makeup. What is the genetic makeup of the organism? All right. So option D is the correct answer here. Now this is the explanation. There is a large diversity in the biological world, as you know. There is lot of biodiversity, it is saying. Okay. When you look around, there are a lot of species around you. There are different kind of microorganisms, plant and animals. So this all comes under biodiversity. All right. So there is large diversity in the biological world, and each organism has evolved its own mechanism to multiply and produce offerings. The type of reproduction adopted by an organism thus depends on what? Organism habitat, in which condition it is living. Okay, it is its internal physiology and several other factors like genetic factor. All right, that's why the correct answer is option D. Now coming to the 16th question. Identify the incorrect statement. Okay, so statements are: in asexual reproduction, offspring produced are morphologically and genetically identical to the parent. Okay, this you already know. What happens in asexual reproduction? Only one parent is involved. Only one parent is involved. The offspring produced are morphologically and genetically identical. This is true, means they are clones. Okay, they are the clones. The offspring produced during the asexual reproduction are identical to each other, as well as they are the exact copy of their parent. All right. So this statement is true. Second is zoospores are sexual reproductive structures. All right, we will talk about this. Zoospores are whether they are sexual or they are asexual. All right. Sexual, you know, during sexual reproduction, gametes are formed. Okay, but here they are asking about zoospores. C option is: in asexual reproduction, a single parent produces offerings with or without the formation of gametes. Okay, this also you know. There is single parent involves. Okay, and the offerings are produced with or without the formation of gametes. Okay, now fourth option is: conidia are asexual structures in penicillium. Okay, so conidia, you already know. Conidia are asexual structures. So if this is a conidiophore, conidia are born on the tip. Okay, and they are born like this. Okay, one over the other. So these are the conidia which are formed in penicillium. Penicillium is the fungus. Okay, this is a conidiophore. So conidia are born on the conidiophores and they are asexual structures. Now, here let's talk about this. In asexual reproduction, a single individual, which is known as the parent, is capable of producing offerings. This you already know. As a result, the offspring produced are identical to one another and also to their parent. This already both genetically and morphologically. So the offspring produced are genetically and morphologically similar to the parent. Now let's move on to the answer. So option B is the answer here. Alright, because zoospores are asexual spores. Okay, so asexual reproduction occurs usually in unicellular organism. Why in unicellular organism? Because they have very simple organization. They have very simple organization, and also they are primitive. They are primitive, they are unicellular, and because they are primitive, they have very simple organization. So asexual reproduction occurs usually in unicellular organism by various ways like binary fission, by budding, or by sporulation. In this method, a single parent produces offerings with or without the involvement of gametes. This also you already know. Okay? And zoospores are asexual. Zoospores. They were talking about the zoospore. They are not sexual. They are asexual spores. Means they help in asexual reproduction. Okay? Now, members of the kingdom fungi and simple plants reproduce through special asexual reproductive structures called conidia. This I've already told you. Conidia are formed in kingdom fungi and some simple plants. Okay, example was given penicillium. All right. In hydra, asexual reproduction takes place by formation of buds. Okay, and the process is known as budding. The most common of these structures are zoospores that are microscopic motile structures. So they are saying that zoospores are the asexual spores. Okay, they help in asexual reproduction. They are asexual reproductive structures. Okay, like conidia are in fungi. Okay, zoospore also asexual reproductive structures. Now all other options are correct and option B was the incorrect. Let's talk about question number 17. Now, which of the following is the post-fertilization event in the flowering plant? Okay, flowering plant they are saying. Means they are talking about the angiosperms. Angiosperms are known as the flowering plants. Okay. Now, which of the following is the post-fertilization event? Means that event that happens after fertilization. They are talking about the event that happens after fertilization. Fertilization means, what does fertilization mean? It means union of two gametes. This is known as fertilization, or you can say fusion of two gametes. One is male, another is female gamete. Both are haploid and they fuse and they form a diploid zygote first. Okay? Which is 2N, which is diploid. Okay? Now let's have a look at the options. Option A, transfer of pollen grains. Second option is embryo development. Okay? Third option is formation of flower and fourth option is formation of pollen grain. So till zygote I have already told you. After zygote what happens? With the help of mitosis, it's also known as equational division, embryo is formed. So embryo formation is a what? Post-fertilization event. Okay? So option B, embryo development takes place after the fertilization. And what is fertilization? Fusion of male and female gametes, which results in the formation of zygote. Thus, it is a post-fertilization event. Okay? Embryo development. Rest of the events takes place before occurrence of the fertilization. Hence, they are known as the pre-fertilization events. Okay? Before the fusion, pre-fertilization, after fertilization, post-fertilization. Okay? So here you can write, this is fertilization. All the events before this are pre. Okay? All the events after fertilization are post. So here one was embryo development. Okay? What will be the pre-fertilization event will be gametogenesis, formation of gametes. which is known as gametogenesis. Okay, so gametogenesis is the pre-fertilization event. Then there is fertilization, which is the union of two gametes, and then there are post-fertilization events such as embryo development. Now, question number 18. The number of chromosome in the shoot tip cells of maize plant, they are saying, is 20. So they are talking about the shoot tip cells, means the cells present in the shoot tip, or also you can say present in the shoot apical meristem. Okay, the number of chromosome in the microspore mother cells of the same plant should be. Alright, so they are saying the cells in the shoot tip, okay, they contain 20 chromosomes. And they are saying what will be the number of chromosome in the microspore mother cells of the same plant, means the maize plant. Okay, now let's look at the options. Option A is 20, option B is 10, option C is 40, and option D is 15. So what will be the answer here? Option A is the correct answer. So microspore mother cell. So microspore mother cells, okay, they are part of the reproductive structure. Okay, the whole plant body of the maize plant, including the shoot tip cells, remains diploid. So they are diploid. They remain in diploid condition. Now microspore mother cells, they are the part of the reproductive organ. Okay, where are microspore mother cells? Microspore mother cells are present in the pollen sacs of the anther. Okay, so the microspore mother cells, they are diploid and they are present in the pollen sacs of the anthers, and they undergo meiosis. Meiosis to form 4 haploid microspores. Okay. So what should be the chromosome numbers? Microspore mother cells are diploid, so chromosome number should be 20. Okay. Shoot tip cells, okay, they are also diploid, and it's given that they consist of 20 chromosomes. Okay, so microspore mother cells, they are also diploid, so they also will contain 20 chromosomes. And after meiosis, okay, they form 4 haploid microspores, which are haploid. All right. So this was the end of multiple choice questions. Now we'll start with the other type of question, very short type answer questions.